Off the Track is brought to you by Windsor Park Stud, your first choice for stallions.
Yes, hi and welcome along to Off the Track, brought to you by Windsor Park Stud. And I got the email through the week. Master Craftsman, 10 individual winners thus far. How good is he going? And I look forward to them as 2-year-olds. Well, our special guest today is none other than Lisa Latta. Lisa, thanks for coming along. And I got to say, we had the champagne on ice all ready to go, but it wasn't to be.
No, it wasn't to be.
Yeah, you got to look back though on this season with a great deal of pride and achievement.
Yeah, no, I've had a fantastic season, and all thanks to my great owners that have stuck with me and are behind me.
Listen, we're going to take you right back. You've probably seen this show. We go right back to the beginning. And where did it all start for you? Where were you born? Where did life begin for you in New Zealand?
Born in Balclutha and spent my first 16 years there.
Yeah. Well, have your family into horses? That's the other thing. Were they into racing as such?
No, not into racing at all, but horse mad.
Yeah?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Mum and Dad still ride now.
What, hunters and what?
Yeah, still get around the rodeos a bit, and Dad goes hunting whenever the hunts are on.
So he's absolute mad horseman. So what does he do as a job? I mean, was he involved directly in horses? Yes,
he's an engineer by trade and builds horse floats, and a blacksmith by trade too, and breaks in horses.
So you're brought up on a little farm, or? Yeah,
a little farmlet, 10 k's up the Clutha River at Clydevale, and they've only got 20 acres.
You'd be pretty disappointed the way the Highlanders are going then, eh?
Yeah.
That's the worst thing for you, I suppose. What else you got to go for? You must have to come to the Waikato, at least we're the winning team there.
Oh, no, the Hurricanes will do.
Yeah, hey, listen, let's go back. You got brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I'm the oldest, and got a younger sister, Tania, 2.5 years younger, and a younger brother, 10 years younger.
Yeah, it was an afterthought, eh? Took them 8 years. I used to say, because I'm a bit behind my brothers, it took them 10 years and a lot of years of practice to get it right. But are your brother and sister involved in horses?
They were all the way through, and then I'm the only one that's carried on. My brother's a marketing manager for Bridgestone in Auckland, and my sister's a manager out at one of the mines in Perth.
Oh, well, that's a diverse situation. So you started out on horse. When did you first learn to ride?
Oh, as soon as I could walk, basically.
Yeah. You have a pony?
Yes, yeah, lots of ponies.
Go to pony club?
Yeah, pony club.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, loved it. Yeah.
What, the dressing up and all that sort of frilly side of it, or just the competing and things?
Oh, just competing. We probably more into rodeo than the pony club, but done a lot of one-day eventing and hunting and all that sort of thing that comes with it. But possibly because Mum and Dad were more into the rodeo that we sort of followed down that path too.
All right. What were you like at school?
Had a fair bit of time off with the horses.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did.
So school wasn't the thing that really attracted you? You play sport at school at all, netball or anything?
No, I didn't. It was, horses, you had to work the horses. I worked horses before I went to school. I worked them as soon as I got home from school.
Did you have a dream? And I had a dream. We all had I had a dream of becoming a jockey. Did you have a dream of becoming a jockey, or was it not even part of it? No,
that wasn't part of it. I loved the rodeos, and probably could have made a career out of it in New Zealand, but it just wasn't a possibility.
Because let's talk about the rodeo, because you were very good at one facet of the rodeo, which was barrel racing.
Barrel racing,
What do you have to do there?
You've got 3 drums set up, and you run round them in a cloverleaf pattern.
Okay, and it's the speed, is it?
Yes, the fastest.
But does that come down to the quickest horse? Quarter horses? What sort of horse do you have to ride?
Quarter horses, yes.
And so you practice, you can develop the skills to get the level again of training, to get the horse up there, or what? Yeah,
no, a lot of practice, obviously, and a lot of sore shins from knocking barrels over.
Yeah. So do you have your own horse, or do they supply your horse when you go there? Because I noticed with the bucking broncos and things, you draw a horse, or do you take your own horse for the barrel racing?
In the South Island I had my own horse, but when I travelled up north, borrowed one.
Horse?
Yes.
At the age of 14, I read, top 10 in New Zealand for barrel riding.
Yes, I was the youngest to ever make the top 10 at that stage.
Were there 12 people doing it, or was there more than that?
Yeah, that's a bit harsh.
top 10 is outstanding, but even better, as a 16-year-old, you were crowned New Zealand champion.
Yes, yeah, no, it was. It was a big thrill, you know. I'd travelled all over New Zealand and, you know.
So every rodeo you get points, do you, towards the final? How does it go?
Yes, money. It goes on money won, yeah.
It's a professional sport.
Oh, well, no, well, it isn't that much money.
So the amounts of stake money at the end of the season,
yeah,
and you were finally crowned. Were you given it some thought? I mean, I watched ESPN and you watched the rodeo there and things like that. Did you give any thought to heading overseas?
Yeah, America's possibly the only place that you could go to make a living out of it, and, you know, I was too young to be probably
Was it ever discussed, though? I mean, your parents, as you say, right, and especially your father, so much into rodeo, do they ever give any thought to it?
I think because I was a girl and it's, you know, barrel racing's the only thing that you can do in rodeo in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your father, what was he? He obviously wasn't doing barrel riding, was he?
No, he was New Zealand champion calf roper.
Yeah. Did you ever go to that yourself? Obviously back home?
Probably had a play around at home in the arena and things like that.
So he's the calf roping champion in New Zealand? I mean,
yeah, he won it. Yeah, he won it 2 or 3 times, I think.
And what else did he do?
He done steer wrestling.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's jumping off and you've got to grab them on the ground and tie their feet together?
No, that's the calf roping.
Oh, that's the calf roping.
Yes.
Right. Steer is just, that's right, that's just getting them down on the ground.
Yeah, yeah, so...
And that, he didn't do the bareback riding and the bull riding and things like that?
No, none of that, no.
But he was very much involved in breaking in horses. So...
Yeah, no, we did. We broke in a lot of horses, all sorts of horses, you know.
And that must have stand by you now, when you reflect back in terms of your appreciation of a horse, to have that hands-on involvement so early and so young.
Yeah, oh, no doubt. I mean, with horses you never stop learning, and I mean, we broke in all sorts. We used to break them into the cart for the trotters, break in thoroughbreds, we'd break in wild horses off the hills, you know.
And so you, as a 16-year-old, won the championship. School wasn't an option really, I suppose, clearly. What made you the choice? Well, how did you go from there to venturing north, I understand it, to join Malcolm Smith?
I think Dad more made the choice for me. He thought, you know, she needs to go off for a year and get into a different aspect of horses. And I think he thought I'd be gone for a year and then move back home again.
But you didn't.
But I never did.
So how did you meet up with Malcolm Smith? How did that come about?
We used to break in horses for a guy in Clydevale, Cliff McLaughlin, and he had horses with Malcolm Smith. And he said to Dad, look, if she wants to go away, you know, if you wanted to go away for a year or 2, I can get you in with Malcolm. So
he started out in New Plymouth, but you joined him when he was in Fielding, is that right? Something like that?
Yeah, Palmerston North. I joined him at Australasian Breeding Stables. I turned up and never hardly left home and walked in, and Malcolm said to me, look, I've got some good news and some bad news. He said, I've just sold out of the company and I'm moving on in the next week. He said, you've got 2 choices. You can either come with me to Fielding and set up and, you know, work for me, or he says you can stay and work for Chris McNabb.
Right.
And he said to me, I'll look after you if you come with me. So
how cool was that? And he certainly did.
Yes, definitely.
You see, from our point of view, from those of us at my age, we think of Malcolm Smith, we think of one horse. And Peter Kelly said and described her as the best race filly he had seen, La Mer. Do you talk much about her?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, she was a fantastic mare.
She was outstanding, wasn't she? In fact, we've got footage of her winning. I mean, what was it about her? And the interesting note here, you know, this is her in the colours, because the colours, I always thought, you know, I forgot that I always put them down as your stable colours, but in reflection, Des Harris used to ride and wear these colours. So is it because the Malcolm Smith factor you took over ultimately that you retained the colours?
Yeah, definitely. When he passed away so suddenly, I asked Barbara if I could keep the colours, and she said she was only too happy for me to keep them. And they've been lucky colours, so you know, I don't want to change them. Yeah.
So you started off working around the stables, obviously.
Yes.
Working in the stable. Were you riding work and things?
Yes. Yep. Used to ride all my own work. Not the last since I've had the kids. I've got a bit lazy, but yeah, no, rode work.
Worked into being a foreman for him?
Yes. Yeah.
And then he said to you one day, I told you I'd look after you. Join me in partnership as a trainer.
yeah, 18 months before he passed away, I went into partnership with him. Worked for him for 12 and a half years.
You must have learned a lot. I mean, Lamere went to Australia, I think, from memory. Did you travel at all with the horses overseas, or?
No, possibly when I went was with Malcolm. You know, he'd scaled down a lot in numbers, and in fielding we probably only had a dozen or 15 horses. You know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a fantastic conditioner of a horse. And
yeah, well, I was going to ask you, what did you learn most from Malcolm?
Probably the conditioning of a horse, and he turned his horses out. You know, they always stood out, and I think that's probably what I learnt the most.
Is that a feeding regime, or just the care and etc.?
Yeah, I think, yeah, the care and the feeding.
Because Don Selwood's a bit the same, it's very much of the same ilk, I suppose. You look at a Don Selwood horse, you think, gee, you know, beautifully presented every time they go to the races.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of your racing with him, your first winner, I understand, was a horse called Centre Fair in combination with Malcolm Smith many years ago. When I say many years ago, 1998.
Yeah, that was a lot of years ago.
At this stage, Bruce Hurd, was he on the scene?
Yes, Bruce was.
In terms of your relationship with him, or was he just riding around the stables? I mean, how did you come to meet Bruce?
I don't know how I actually met him. Just, yeah, he asked me out on a couple of dates, and then we ended up seeing each other. Because
Centre Fair was the first horse, but in fact he rode for you in the stable. His first winner for you was Sir Rhapsody.
Oh, yeah, that's a long...
We have done a bit of work.
You
1998.
have.
1998, Bruce Rhapsody. In fact, we were going to hopefully show you... Here he is, finally. We've got footage of it here for you. And that's him in behind, must be in the Malcolm Smith colours. The black horse, Sir Rhapsody, coming out now.
Sir Rhapsody is now getting into the clear and coming out and after them very strongly. We've got Sir Rhapsody going after Mole Flanders. Oregon's bit out wide, tries hard, little between these three. In the centre, Sir Rhapsody. Oregon's bit out wide. Real Class Actors now starting to run on, and Mole Flanders firing again on the inside. Sir Rhapsody, yep, it's home.
Wasn't much, but it was good enough. So Bruce Hurd saluting for you, his first winner with you in that respect. As you say, 18 months down into this partnership, training partnership, Malcolm Smith suddenly dies.
Yeah, no, it was a real shock, and obviously because I was very close with them and worked for them and lived with them for a large period of the time as well, and very close to Joanne and Brent. They were like a second brother and sister to me. So it was a real shock.
Did you give that thought then as to what I'm going to do? I mean, how did you go from the process of being training in partnership to all of a sudden, bang?
John Street actually approached me just after the funeral, and he said, Lisa, if you want to have a go at training, you know, we're willing to back you. And I did really want to go overseas and get a bit more experience, you know, working for other people and that sort of thing. But I thought, you know, if I've got the backing of, there was John and Noel Campbell and Hoko Gardner, and they're still with me today as owners.
See, I reckon that is a testament to you as a person, and obviously your training ability as well, that you have retained owners for that length of time.
Yeah, I mean, they're just good, soul to the earth, loyal people.
And, I mean, let's face it, John Street has gone from being... How many horses did he have in work at that stage with you?
I think he had three.
How many did you have in work at that stage?
I think I took over 7 horses.
Gee whiz.
Yeah.
Not a lot of money in 7 horses, is there?
No, there wasn't.
But you were doing most of the work yourself with a bit of assistance from Bruce?
Yeah, done it all myself, and with one full-time girl who's actually still with me today.
Is that right?
Yes.
Gee whiz, they stay with that. Again, it is testament to your first winner on your own, do you remember?
Resonier.
Resonier, very good. Special horse for you too, because it was to go on and win a group race. Resonier, anything, here we go, wasn't a big field, but a special day for you at Te Hera Nikau, 1999.
It was a very special day because the Lincoln Farms owned half, and Barbara Smith owned the other half, so it was a very special day, and he was always a horse that Malcolm had a lot of time for.
So he's one of the horses that stayed on from the stable. Did you go out to the sales and start buying yearlings? Because obviously that's the key to any stable, is to get that next line of horses through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, John come to me. I'd never been to the sales, and he says to me, Lisa, you're going to the sales this year. Yeah. Sort of pushed me along, and I was like, oh, yeah. So off I went, and he said you can buy one horse, and like I said, I'd never been to the sales, never been around the, you know.
It's a bit of pressure cooker too in the sale ring.
Oh, definitely.
Did you bid on the horse, or did you get John to bid on it? Do you remember the horse?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
What was
it
the
was
horse?
a Slavic horse. I can't remember his name. He won his first race, and that was about it. So
but at least
we didn't pay a lot of money for
I was
him.
going to say your first year. In fact, you did. Your first group winner, ironically, we just showed Resonair, was Resonair though.
Yes, yeah. That was one that I think Malcolm either bred. I think he may have bred him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, that's Bruce Hurd back on the inside.
No, Michael Walker actually
Michael Walker.
rode. And I think it might have been one of Michael's first group winners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice ride here.
It
Getting
was.
through on the rail.
Very nice ride.
Resonare, Tony Lee refers to it as a Resonair or Resonare?
Resonare.
Resonare?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, Resonare,
Yeah.
we'll get it right.
Yeah.
So you've been to the sales a few times since then. You went to the sales and purchased a mare, a filly obviously she was at the time, turned out to be Whareti Princess.
Yeah, no, it was. I'd actually, you know, you go on the yelling parades, and I rung up Noel Campwell, who lived in Palmerston North at the time, and I said, look, I've seen a lovely filly, you know, I think we should try and get a syndicate together to buy her. And yeah, and right or wrong, I wanted that filly even before I went to the sales.
What made her special?
She just had a look about her, you know. She had lovely big ears, and you know, she walked with a bit of authority. Yeah.
Have you seen that again in horses since?
You don't see it very often where they just stand out, and yeah, she was just a lovely specimen of a filly.
Greg Lambert, did he breed it? Was it?
Yes, he did.
Okay, and so you went to the sales?
Yes.
Bit of competition? Can't remember who the auctioneer was. No.
No, I can't.
Yeah, that's all right. Don't worry about us. 24,000. Had a bit of. Was it over your budget, or was it within your budget?
No, it probably was just over. I think Murray Baker may have been the underbidder, but yeah, we were only going to go to 20, but when you're in there, you always go more.
Yeah, that's what I love about you people bidding. Interesting. I read too that there was a man in Hawke's Bay, Kevin Williams, became part of the syndicate. Remember, he was ran a milk round, had a milk round in Hawke's Bay. Yes,
and it was his first horse ever. He was good friends with Dean Smith, Malcolm's brother. Yeah.
Okay. Who retains an interest in associated with you, hasn't he, Dean?
Yes, he had a share in a horse called Nanjara, and he helped get me going, definitely.
Whareti Princess, though, was never going to be a 2-year-old?
No, never going to be a 2-year-old, no.
I read the story where you told us that it was going to make us at a 3-year-old. She stepped out and had her first run over 1,300 metres and won. Must have been exciting for the team then. Yeah, no, it was her maiden one was very impressive, and it was Bruce's first ride back after he shattered his ankle. That's right, I read about that. Yeah, you came back from adversity. At her fifth start, you line up in the New Zealand Oaks. That's a very good training performance. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, she, like I said, she just had that bit of class about her, and I think those sorts of horses you can do. He rode her like the best horse in the race. Was it always your plan to hit the front 300 metres out? Yeah, I can't remember who Bruce spoke to. It may have been David Walsh, and he may have said to her, just ride her like the best horse in the race. Absolutely, and here she is as a 3-year-old filly. You must have had in the back of your mind thoughts of the spring. Caulfield Cup, Melbourne Cup, those sort of things? Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think we done the right thing with her. We turned her out, and we brought her back in with obviously big plans. Mm. And isn't she typical of racing, where you have the highs and then the absolute lows? Walking off the training track, she drops dead. Drops dead. You just couldn't believe it? No, literally, yeah. You know. No signs? No, just had a heart attack. Yeah. It hadn't even been galloping, just pace working. The ups and downs of racing. Yeah, it definitely was. All right, well, that's the first part of Off the Track. More ups to come, though, after this break.